Greetings and welcome to the Ngoma Zethu podcast bonus edition. In this bonus edition, we'll be talking about the third religion. The third, the third religion. There are so many religions in the world. Uh, we cannot count them. We only know about the dominant ones, the major ones. And today, as I speak, there's two that always come to mind when people talk about religion is Christianity and Islam. There are some, there's still Judaism, there's Buddhism, there's, you name them, so many. There's voodoo, there's so many. But today, I want to talk about the third religion because I'm talking about the largest religion. The third one is still not considered a religion. Most people don't know what it is. They know what it is, but they haven't thought of it as a religion. And I'm going to try to reveal this today that the third religion is racism. Racism is a religion. Why is it a religion? Because just the word religion in itself, it means, the belief in the supernatural being, powerful like entities. It's a belief that has no proof, basically. It's just a belief. And you can see that if you think about Christianity, several billions of people, a billion and plus, Islam, a billion plus, something like that. And then you realize what other religion has that amount of people. The next in line would be racism, because it's a belief in things that are not there, but you believe in it. And the reason why I chose discuss this issue is that people wonder how come we haven't gotten out of racism. When you ask that question, then you should also ask a question that how come people haven't gone past Christianity or they haven't gone past Islam? Because those are beliefs that you inherit, that you really believe in those things, so they're always going to be with you all the time, especially for those that are exposed to it. And racism is the same way. It is the same way. If you are in cases of practice, religious practices, you're always going to have maybe a prayer or something, or like a ritual in a church, etc., or these kind of things. And the same with racism, that there's always some kind of like a ritual and a process that goes in where you see it all everywhere is practiced, where it's either there's going to be some discrimination, uh, posting signs, discriminating against other people. It's a practice. It happens all the time. And when you think of it at its base, why would somebody just think like that? Then you can also ask the same thing about religion. How do people come to that conclusion? It's a belief system. You believe in certain things. They don't have to be true, but you believe in them. And religion is racism is one of those religions that, uh, in some ways, it can hijack. It can kind of join the other religions to advance itself. So it's pretty much like where you're joining forces, like a racist can join force with Christianity and then perpetrate his beliefs. Somewhere maybe a racist can join with Islam and perpetrate, and so on and so forth within a religion. But it's all based on like where false beliefs about one's own superiority. Somehow in religion, you believe that maybe a God created you, you're special, you're a creation of God, and you're superior, you have dominion over other animals. And that means, you can, kill them, eat them, and all that. It's a belief system. And racism the same way is some kind of like a religion. The only thing is that today, when we talk about uh, the ideas of racism, most people tend to look at it as just like, oh, it's just like really people that are ignorant. They don't know. No, it's a belief system. When you're brainwashed, there's no uh, ignorance and brainwashed. They can occupy the same space at the same time. But for the most part, racism as a religion is like those false beliefs. I'll give you an example. Things that can be uh, that cannot be called a religion, like intellectualism. People that like will believe in reading, discovering things, congregating with other intellectuals. Every time that you have a gathering of intellectuals, they don't gather as superior beings. They gather there maybe at a conference in a field they practice. So if let's say there are smart people that are in the medical profession, they'll go to some city. It could be like Las Vegas, it could be Johannesburg, it could be Nairobi, it could be Lagos or Accra, Ghana, or it could be like London, or it could be Tokyo. They'll go there for the conference, not to act that okay, we are the special people, we're the superior people, the better people. No, they go there to exchange ideas with other people that know about their field. So you cannot find people gathering and passionately just for the sake of like being because we are smart people. It doesn't happen. If that had to happen, then it becomes a religion because it's a belief that's not founded. Because you can be a doctor, but then also be ignorant of certain things. So that doesn't mean that you're smart. So if let's say you start to congregate just for the mere fact that you are this thing, we because we are intellectuals and we just gathering for the sake of being intellectuals and start to wear flags, colors and banners of intellectualism and all that, then it start to become a religion. It's a religion now because there's no thought process, there's no counterpoints. You haven't thought through, and this goes in. It goes deeper, where you find people that are not necessarily of maybe European descent. They are what you call the bourgeois society in every race, what you call the Creole, mixed race people, where they create their own kind of a system and they marry within themselves. Some of them even like remarry within the family to maintain, I guess, the superiority, that religion. So you can see that when people get to a point whereby they have to marry their cousins, and all these like really stupid, like it's like what's going on. You realize that I think it's religion now. You're losing all your senses. I'm not saying that all religious people don't have any common sense or any senses, but religion kind of moves in that space where you don't have to ask questions. Because once you start asking questions about something, then it's not a religion anymore because things are going to start to fall apart. The bricks going to start slowly. Yeah, that wasn't right. It wasn't right. So this racism thing as a religion is what people should start looking at. That it's become people's way of life that they want to believe in things that are not true, that do not make sense, that are not. It's a belief system that doesn't have any facts at all. One's own superiority is every, and in most cases, uh, religious people tend to see themselves as good. I remember meeting somebody years ago, and the first thing they wanted to know, they said, "So, what church do you go to?" I said, "I don't go to church." And then all of a sudden, they lost it. Oh, they don't go to church. I think it was like a friend's event, something like that. I was there for some work. They don't go to church, and you can see there's a sense of superiority there. Even though it was black on black, it was like one African on African, so there wasn't a white person involved. But you can see how you can have to the extremes of that religion. There's that ignorance, that self sense of superiority, and racism is the same way. It's a false sense of superiority, and I'm going to repeat this. because this is very important. It's a point that has been missed for centuries, that when you look at people that attend, whether it's like what they call the Nazi rallies, people that were attending lynchings, or people that were harassing black people for the sake of it, they have a false sense of superiority of themselves. They haven't looked in the mirror to see this face. Is this face really superior? Is this person really that beautiful, really? But because it's a belief in an idea that does not exist, it becomes a religion. And that's what religion is all about. Believing things just like, yeah, it is there, and you start to believe it, and you start to believe it. And so when you take a look at the belief of white supremacy, which has been notorious when it comes to racism. Now, racism is everywhere. You go to India, you go to China, wherever there's human beings, there'll be racism. All right, but racism as a religion is a very European thing, where the Portuguese went, where the Spaniards went, where the Germans went, where the British went. That religion is always there. It's a belief, it's a religion, it's a false sense of belief. So the third religion that's next to the bigger ones that we know, that Christianity and Islam, is racism. And mind you that they overlap, that racism, like European racism, overlap with Christianity. And also the Arab racism on African people is happening today. If you go to the Middle East today, in most Middle Eastern countries where you have domestic workers from Africa, the way how they're treated, they're treated like subhuman. And this is also a place like Arabia is where most of the Africans went into slavery, especially the Africans on the east coast of Africa. You know, the Mombasa, Tanzania, all the way down into Mozambique, into Malawi, all those places. And Zanzibar was a slave market just like Charleston, South Carolina, or Annapolis, Maryland. You know, and so the racism as a religion exists. People are worshiping racism. That's why you see them. They show up. They show up at these gatherings that don't make sense, that have no cause, because that's the idea of religion. You come up with some kind of, you make up a cause that you should believe in, even though it's not there. It's a religion. All right. So be careful out there and make sure that you can spot the dangers and take care of it before it becomes a bigger problem. Speak up all the time. Speak out, especially when it comes to the well-being and the survival of your people. Not that you should hate other people or should be like after other people, but do not tolerate the idea of superiority, of trying to bring you down, or try to tell you what you should read, what you shouldn't read, or what should be in the schools where your children are attending. You should fight for that, because their idea is not their own idea. We're in this thing together, and they have to give something. They're not going to take it all. They have to give something.